Alright. Load it up. Welcome. Alright. Let's see. Here. Check, check. Mic check on. Pop, pop. Alrighty. Cool. Alright. Alright. How we doing? Welcome, Star and Kiki. Oh, I seem to have misspelled. Well, now I got Howie did. So, whoops. Hopefully that'll be okay. Thank you guys for coming. And everyone else who might be coming in soon, welcome. We'll be starting, hopefully promptly. Start right on time. Instead of that weird minute and 20 seconds into it or something. Past the hour. Alright, welcome. Let me get my frame so this lags a bit. Alrighty. But anyway, welcome. Welcome everyone. I wrote the name, I think. Sorry about that. Welcome, and Star and Cookie. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone else who's also not commenting. Welcome everyone. Your little lookers. I can see you. I actually can't see you. That's the problem. I can't see if you don't comment. So I don't know. It's hard because I can't actually know if you exist or not. Like I can see the number of people watching, but not actually whether or not you exist specifically, unless you comment. Anyway, I rhyme. Yep. Hello. Welcome. Let's get going. I know this is gonna get pretty complex, and there's a lot of stuff to do. Let's just jump right in. Let's get autosave and let's see here. Hello, Buttercup. Welcome. So we're gonna start real quick. So I did work on the master controller. I worked on the head. I worked on a whole bunch of stuff under the hood. So a lot of things are now changed. Let's see if this works. If I select everything. Oh, I can also delete her. That's not what we want. We're gonna do this button. There we go. So these are what we're gonna be using to deform things. These little lines and little buttons here allow me to deform the rig in different places. I can just kind of grab one little point here and kind of shrub it around. So probably don't move it that much, but if you kind of put it in right kind of angle and make that kind of work, then it kind of works pretty well. So you can animate in a way with all these different pegs and not pegs, deformers. So and then like every leg now has one, and pretty much every head body part also has deformers for every single part here too. So it gets really crazy, but if you only have to look one at a time, then it's way easier. So I did that. I'm going to say hello to more people. Hello, Elijah and Cartoons. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So what I did is I worked on this master head controller. You can see how many times I've done this. Version 2 and 8. If I go to the last frame, it says looking up there. And so the magic is that I kind of made it work pretty good. There's some popping, but that's usual Toon Boom master controller stuff. It's not quite something that I can exactly avoid. Even professional master heads sort of have this kind of like when you watch the ear over here. Boop. So it goes behind the head at a certain place, but then goes in front really quickly. So the mouth kind of has this a little bit. But it just took a long time to figure out how to get this to look moderately even good at this point. So she can kind of look around now. And I got the body one, so I can swap between a 3/4, which you saw in the front view. So for either one's sort of independent, so I can have her kind of like look down. And 3/4 would be front view, and then look forward, maybe off to the left or right. So this will help me retrieve these specific poses much easier, and don't have to like recreate these in animation. So if I need like this specific pose that's like this, you know, I have that's already made. Like I made this pose, and the rest of it will just be then going into the mouth and animating it or whatever. So it's just like, there, done. I already got the pose done. All right, move on. You know, it's kind of like just able to retrieve a whole bunch of like infinite poses, because just for how minute I can get these kind of pictures, you know. So there you go. It is really cool. It's like, it's pseudo 3D because it's still all the 2D pieces, but the way that it's interpolating, it's as good as I put into it, you know. If I put in good poses and use the deformers. So what's going on again is that the deformers, might be able to see it, yeah. So these little dots are actually moving across in different places based on where it is. So if you just look at the nose ridge, which is just this shape, so it's only like this one curve here, but based on where it is in rotation of the head and different poses, it's tricky to show everything. So I have a pose here, so it's like this kind of curve, but if I bring it to the center, you can see like how I kind of changed this position from following one position to another. So it's changing position and a deforming angle as well. So you can see that if I just go across, that it's kind of going across like that over a snoot line. So that's kind of how everything else kind of works. I've remade the skull in the same way too. That's only like, it's literally a circle now. I used to have two different skull pictures. One that was like a front view, like this shape, and one that was a different picture that was like this weird cheek and shape here. So I'm deforming this circle with these points, which I can still kind of play around with, but don't want to do that. But based on what angle it is, it's actually changing the position of these points with its vertex angle and position. So based on where it is, it's using those geometry and math to figure it out between all of them. So it's moderately okay. It's alright. And if I spend like another week or something at it, then it'll be really good. But again, this is mostly just to get, like, I need a specific pose that's like boop boop and like boop, there, done, you know. If I had a storyboarder and a director say I want like this specific pose, and it's like, how fast can you make this one? And it's like, oh geez, you know, I have to either draw by hand, recreate it, make different pieces and parts, and then have to like figure out like, well, it's at this angle, so I guess it'll be like this. So it just streamlines all of that process. In a sense that Flash can't eat its art out with this. This is so more advanced. And even the shadow here, if I wanted to, I could probably like interpolate between these two because it's actually changing the position of the different points here as well. So yeah, yahoo! You like that or no? So that was really fun. Alrighty. So that's really crazy with under hood body stuff, is that basically everything has a whole bunch of different pieces. If I just go to one leg, let's go to the front leg. So this front leg here, that has a whole bunch of different deformers that have a whole bunch of different curves, and it's made up of different pieces. It's like the hoof and the lower leg. So I think I showed you this last time. If I created this leg, is that it's made up of different pieces. So I wanted to, I could rotate certain pieces and then rotate the whole leg, and so you can get a piece angle like that. So when we get into animating, that'll make more sense, hopefully. Of how all these work. But yeah, it's all based on like how the deformers really handle a lot of the grunt work of it, so that you can easily just kind of bin deep it. So this is like a curve deformer, but I think the other one is like a angle deformer or something. So yeah, it'll be more practical once we put it into practice. So for right now, it doesn't quite make sense of all this. But I'm just setting everything up so that once we get to animation, then it should be smoother sailing than Spider projects, hopefully. Alrighty. Hopefully that made sense. Yeah, I know. Once we like get into the actual cartoon, the only weird part is that it always makes this, to make a master controller, you have to do this weird whole bunch of set of all your default pictures, So this is the raw angles that I gave it, essentially. I gave it all these different pictures that have all the different deformers in the different places. So I show those again, so it's also... let's do it. That's not allowing me. Okay. There you go. I did the exact same thing. I don't know what I did. So it's taking all the deformers and pictures of all these different angles. Did this twice to make it have the mouth be in a different position. What I learned was, know that these are like the same. This and this are like mirrored angles. But I figured out that it's way better to not have it be flipped. Not actually flip the whole eyeball. And just go beep, you know? Because that already breaks that. But just, if this worked, then it doesn't work when you do the master controller. So I literally did have to like create these other ones practically from scratch, where that's what this drawing red one in here. It's a is a trace of the other view of what it's supposed to look like, so I can actually see what these views look like. So I have to like recreate all of this from scratch for using like the front view, and then going to recreating this by moving every single piece and every single deformer and every single part, while maintaining its relative XY flip integrity. So instead of flipping the assets, I had to move them over, but because they were already so set and nice looking one way, recreating it was really tricky. So that took a while. That took longer than I expected to. Trying to figure out like, why was it freaking out in the middle? Because like what would happen is that halfway in the middle, it would go like the mouth, and so the eyeball and everything would just kind of go whoop, or like I would move the head over and it would go whoosh, and it's like, ah, great. But everything else was kind of set up in place. But yeah, but having it be more simplified in a sense, instead of more with the skull thing, instead of having two pictures that are nicely, you know, if this was a frame by frame, that'd be perfect and done by having two different pictures for side and front. That's good. But for the master controller, it's just more required having to have that one circle and then adding deformers onto it and then changing its shape and then almost like sculpting it into this new shape here. So I learned a couple things, but yeah, that was all off screen with all my tinkering, so sorry about that. But now, you know, I feel confident of like showing this off, so that feels good. Alrighty. Hello, Mario. Welcome. Alrighty. That's not what you want to see though. You want to see actual making this into the actual horse instead of being weird bald horse. You want to add it to be sunny. So let's do that. What should we do first? Well, let's do it in the same way that I made the head and body bits. Probably gonna have like one drawing image. How would I describe this? I have one drawing image of a tail, and then have a 3/4 and a front view version by deforming it in a sense. So I can have this weird shape here, but when it's front view, it might look a little bit different. In a sense, the body stuff doesn't quite matter as much because I'm not going to be, hopefully, flipping between these two too much. Or especially in our storyboards, they're not like turning around. Their body isn't like turning around to face the other way. But just adding more flexibility to head is what I wanted to prioritize. So yeah, how do I animate? So I use the green little parts, and then this is Toon Boom Harmony. So this is where it gets really tricky. And then we'll get into more specific animation stuff once we get there. But I'm gonna be working on making the character puppet hair and stuff today. Basically, all the different pieces have like controllers that can control other smaller sub pieces. So the mouth has a whole bunch of different pictures inside of it that I drew. And so I can like flip between these different pictures. And if I want the mouth itself to move, I can move I can change the picture it is of this. This shows a preview of it. So this is just the mouth picture, but this moves the mouth in space. So I can move this wherever I want now. It's good practice to, at least what I've heard, is to not move or animate with the drawing. You can still move it around, but it's like it's moving it in like a fifth dimension space that's like not really what it's supposed to be used for. So it's just better to have a peg, a green bip, and then you can move it around. So that's the basic of it, and then like you can have things be controlled by other things. So now the mouth has a noodle that's being controlled by the head, and so it'll move all the bips that are inside of this spider thing. Let's see. I use cutout. Yes, cutout is puppets. It's the more synergy corporate way, I guess, to say it is cutout. While I like using puppets as a term. I feel it makes more sense to me. Let's see. Oh, and hi Matrix, welcome. Thanks for subbing last time. Let's work on this. Should we work on the cutie mark first? That might just be the simplest thing. That's not going to be going anywhere. Do I have a picture of the cutie mark somewhere? Or is this it? This is it. Okay. Let's just start going here and making it more officially sunny. Okay. I got that. I got this squared up. I have to draw stars. Ironically, Flash has a star button, and it's way better to use a star making contraption. So I wish I could just like use that. I've never drawn these characters in this much detail or finesse before, so please bear with me on that bit. On that side of it. Oh, God, I can't even freehand stars. That's also the problem. These stars are also a little bit wacky. Don't want to spend too much time on it. I'll probably just copy and paste this star anyway, so. Okay. Gonna put it on the underlay sub layer. And see what that looks like. I think I need to flip it. I think it's the other way. Like it's a shooting star. Does that make sense? She's Starscout. Let's just make it real big. Okay. And then we'll go to line art, sub layer, choose a different color. See where we are. And I might go on the color line layer actually. And just go like this. So now I'm going to use my drawing tools here to draw this out. So what I was explaining the whole time there was like the whole like puppet rigging section. Well, this is more like having to like create new assets, so it's mostly just going to be drawing and drawing substitutions, I suppose, more than just the rigging, which on its own is, you know, fairly complex. So it's nice change of pace to go back and actually just draw something now. It's almost nice and therapeutic of like, okay, hard part's over, and we can just focus on trying to draw this. Let's go back to. So I need a couple colors here. I don't think I have those. It's good to have these be labeled so you can kind of figure out like what exactly these even were at any point. Just color pick this and say, whoa, there you go. And I think for now, I'll just kind of just speed run through this. Beep, beep. Okay, so I got that. Whatever this is. And then, can I get that going? It's a little bit thinner. Okay, line art. Let's get back to here. Okay, time to just draw a... I guess the star is pretty freehand looking anyways. That's pretty good. Perfect. It's actually right color too. Okay. Just wanted to make a different color so I can actually see the contrast. Yep. Okay, select everything, and then I hold shift on the fill, click, and so it'll select everything but the fill that I want to actually delete, and so it'll delete all the lines. So that's a nice quick tip to drawing. Okay, so I got this. It's weirdly transparent. Beep, beep. I guess my source image was, my source color was transparent, so that's what happened. Okay, so I could just copy this and put one, then over here. It's weird doing it backwards. So I'll save it. It's a good time to manually save it as well. There you go. And there we go. Okay. Looks like the blue part. Nope, that has the star part there. And what do you got? Let me just cross-reference. Now you got the blue part here. Blue part, haunch. That's what I'm looking at. Blue part, haunch. Blue part, haunch. This might be flipped. Is it? Yes. I can tell by this really, really tiny negative 0.6. So if I remove that, it'll flip it. I think I did that so I can see the black and white one, and to see, because I think your hair is asymmetric, so it may make more sense for me to figure that out like that. But these definitely need to be way smaller. So something more like this. Let's see if I could just select everything and just make it way smaller. And I believe I have it mask. Let's see. Am I smart? I'm half smart. Okay. So what I did was I already rigged it to have key to mark. I have a cutter with the thigh. So the thigh picture has a cutter. So that means it'll only, the key to mark will only exist where the thigh picture is. So outside of the thigh picture, it disappears. So, but what I didn't do is specify the line art separated from the color art of the fill inner color from there. But I think for now that's gonna be good. All right, spent half hour on that. Let's move on. Tail. This might have to be really quick. All right, so I drew this picture already, and so let's make a new picture. And let's go. There you are. So I want to fill it to be in the right place, and then go to the next one. And so now I'm in the right place, so I can move this around on the left side to see like what kind of drawing do I want. And go, okay. Let's just try and draw some sort of shapey here. It kind of goes up. And trying to figure out some kind of style with this. This is kind of where it starts to get its style of just what we're looking for. Okay, something like this. I also have to like weirdly think about how it might have to deform, so try to make it almost simple enough to do that. In a sense, I mean like if I had to move these certain sections or pieces or whatever, how easy would it be to not add like a whole bunch of rups or actually make it a whole bunch of different hairs or something like this? That'd be nightmare to rig there to make sure it's okay. A little bit off, but we can move that over. So I take the sketch once vector at once, sketch, and then vector, whatever. We like to do it in steps where actually it's not like that. Actually just kind of just follows and then goes in, I guess. Of course, this is only one interpretation, so it's not quite law yet, because I can still make up all of these different lines here. That'll be good for now. Let's color you sketch color. Do you go away? Yes, you do. Let's make you this color so I can see it. And set you, keep doing that and putting that on the wrong sublayer. So if I was smart, I would have done that on the right sublayer to begin with. So, whoops. 7. I also have to be consistent with line weight, which is how thick the pen is. So I have to be real careful with that. It would seem that I drew these on the same layer, so my bad. Hopefully there wasn't too much here, so I can just kind of cut them. I don't think I should cut it to the right sublayer with the other one. This one was not on the right sublayer. I didn't copy paste it correctly. This is like a weird geometric version of it. If I had like a simplified version. Oh, I also have this on, which was this little button, of course, means applied to all layers, or be able to, it doesn't say it, but it's like, it's basically just allows me to select through the different sub layers. Gonna add just one more point, and I think that might help get that going. It deleted itself, so that's a shame. Still got it. Holding Alt to only move one side of the anchor point. It took me until like almost like college or something before I like realized that, oh, you can actually because I was vectoring in like in junior high and everything with puppets and stuff, with drawing, and it only took me 5 or more years to actually realize that, oh, you don't have to move both sides of the vector name. So I'm gonna see how would it make sense to have a black outline or some sort of outline through here. Obviously with the 3D there's not much sense with that. It would seem that there's some sort of white or very light line to show the colors there. I think I might go for something simpler. So I was thinking of whether or not to use a stroke or just a straight line. So if I use a stroke, it'd just be a little bit easier to just kind of freehand draw this and go whoop, and freehand draw this and go whoop, and go beep beep, and then just kind of put these together. Yeah, so it took me a while to know all the shortcuts. So there's so many things that I wish I knew from the onset. So many like time-saving things would have saved me a lot of time. Yeah, there's a bunch of like specific Flash puppet stuff that's like making a new character from a base of like, what's the best way to recolor an entire puppet? And it's like, oh, you know, baby me was like, hey, why don't you take every single piece and then color it with the new color? So it's like outline and then fill, and then you go to the next piece, outline, fill, and some of them had like 50 subframes, and it's like, oh, this is gonna take forever. So eventually found like a search and replace that was able to just look through every single element picture and go ahead and change every single piece on a stage as that's one color and then replace it with a different color. So that'd save who knows how long hours. Going to go to here and see magenta and red violet. Oh, magenta is 3D, red violet is 2D, so somewhere reddish. Yeah, since we could steal some of these colors, or trying to see like what this eyebrow color is that I got. And that's pretty magenta. So we probably want to make, do we want to make the eyebrows darker or make they're pretty much the same. I could go more bluish, push it more purpley, and then see what this looks like, and then add secondary color that's a little bit more purpley and just lighter. And so I get something like that. And then I need a darker version of this. It's probably like more red. Beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep. Is that good? I thought it was more bluey. It's really more blue. It's really weird. Maybe like the inner part, this part could be more blue. And that could be like a weird substitute for being a blue. Ugh. Yeah, this will be very delicate, and we'll have to go back through here a lot of times probably to fix this out. That'll be good for now. Okay, so what do we got? Ooh, we got some extra orange there. Beep. Okay. Let's put it up. Let's just make it larger. That's fine. What I got here? Okay. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's see. Trying to go over coast lesson more and all that. Yeah, I hope so. Okay. Well, I'm just going for 2D, so if anything, it's gonna be less detail. Simplest word. Then not trying to remake this and trying to make this perfect, you know, where this is like individual strands, and so that's the problem there, you know. So as long as this kind of like form factor looks alright and colors are alright, it's I don't see a difference. Alrighty. Let's make the outline look a little bit darker. That might sell it a little bit more. Yeah, that's good. And so I can use these colors now. Let's figure out what color that is. That's hair fill. This is hair light. And this is hair out. Did I spell that? Fine. Okay. Next up is head. So I want to do this at front view because I think starting from a weird angle might not work out too well with master controllers. from what I learned from doing the other parts, I think probably just starting from a front view might work the best. So let's go into here and see what's going on. Let's get rid of that. So it kind of moves a little bit weird, so let's kind of get rid of this here. Like might be too tall with this tail. Let's go back in and almost like angle it down almost. In and out. So that just seems too tall now. I feel like it needs to be lower, but it's literally the same. I just moved it, and moved it to the left. So I just kind of put it here. That should be good. Tail is not on the bottom. Tail should be on the bottom. Alright. Tail comp goes to the rightmost. So, interesting. But it's going in front of the leg here. So might as well just kind of just push it to the back. Yep. And you can kind of see the cutie mark in there. So let's just remove that. And so probably this whole thigh needs to just be taller. Let's get a guide so I can see right about where that is, and so now I don't have to measure it too harshly. Just get rid of that. Okay, so now it's kind of beep 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 beep, something like that. Okay, let's go for hair. Let's get out of body. Let's go to head group. And let's say so this is one eye, this is the other eye, and this is where I can combine the eyes. And here's all the head bips. And so these are the other pieces that make up the head, or extra pieces. So I got ear, mouth, skull, nostril, snout, and that's the real skull. Oh, this is the skull cut. So this is actually a weird extra thing to cut up this outline. So looking a little nicer. I think I want to add another whole section for the hair. So let's add in a hair composition or composite. That's it. Okay, so we're gonna add a whole bunch of hairs. So hair top, probably like a, let's see. How many pieces do you think we need? Hair top will probably be this bip, so we need a bang. Not a bank. Might need a couple of these actually. So this will be this bit, this will be that bit. We probably need a couple of those. Or I guess I could put one of these be one. This could be one bit, but honestly, if I really want to animate it, probably need a couple. I need some sideburns or what I want to call this. The droopy, what's this called? The droopy side things, but they're not burns. Okay, just call it side for now. Inside, nope. Inside too. And I want a ponytail. It might be in one or two sections, maybe. And welcome Purple Toast. Hello. Okay. Did I get someone feverishly like trying to look up what I was thinking of? Alrighty. So all these are gonna have pegs, so that's just gonna be a given. And let's add them all into the composite main buns. Ooh, okay. Or burns. Wait. main burns? Okay. So that's what I called the side. Okay, so side. Or I can call them main burn 1. And then copy and go to and bring 2. Okay, and then the bang's gonna be on top, so it'll be whoop, get out of there. So bang, hair top, whoop, get out of there. Side 2, ponytail. This is the basics of it. It's like how we did the leg, where it's like, oh, this isn't quite all of it. This is gonna be way more complex. Hopefully less complex than this, but somewhere in the middle between this. I mean, to me, this looks like, oh, this actually looks really nice. And the other eye is like, oh, what? Because I have to do so many like color arts, line arts of all these, and this got way too complicated. I think this is the master, I think. Is anything? It's being referenced by the eye there, so yeah. So all these are going to spider into here, so that when I move the head, then all of these will also be affected. Beep. Okay. And let's put that back. And the composite goes into the head composite, so it can actually be visible. If I didn't put it into the bottom composite here, which goes into the multi-output, which goes from the head out to the head composite, which goes in horse into multi-output, and even further outside there, then they don't actually exist, or they're like invisible. So it's actually really important, as sometimes like I don't know why they don't exist in like the view on the left, and it's like, oh, you forgot to actually link it up to the, you didn't finish the whole pipeline kind of thing. So let's add a backdrop so I can see it nice. And look, it's nice and pretty now. Seriously. There. And let's do the same magenta purpley. Let's get that a little darker. Okay, so now it's just gonna be up to making the hairstyle for all the different pieces that we got here. What should we do first? I think I want to make the top first, maybe. So you have something to work with. Let's see here. Probably have to use this as a reference, unfortunately. But hey, you know, if it works. Let's put it there. It sort of would work. No. I should just put you off to the side. Okay. Go away. Okay. So let's make this bun bip up here. So that'll be making, because I could just sketch everything out, and then if I get this up, does my other sketch show up? Nope. Cool. Okay. So I can just draw on here now. A little bit more safely. Okay. Yeah, it's just wrong. Sketch all these bips in. Okay, so it's pretty much going to be tracing from afar game. So this might be like on front of the hair or the skull. Pick it up just a little bit here. I like my tracing from afar. That makes, it's exactly what I'm going to be doing here. Trying to make this as even as possible there. Okay. And I feel safe that I can erase, because I'm literally only going to be affecting this one element here. In Flash, it's kind of hit or miss, literally, of whether or not you hit another element, if it's not locked or like weird or other scenario. So this is way nicer. And it's like, I feel okay. So I was using Flash today, and it's like, I don't know if you get those problems where it's like, I really don't want to do this, or like, it's like gonna fulfill its own prophecy of, I just don't like using it. And something bad happens, and it's like, yep, knew that would happen. Okay, bang. Yep. that good? Yep. Yep. Okay. Yep. Which is that to just trust process here. Yep. I could do that trick of like the rotating the canvas, but at this point, I just got not to flex, but it's like I feel pretty confident just like drawing at weird angles. At this point, it's like, okay. Main bane 1. Let's do it on this one left side, I guess. So these look different, actually. This has a whoopity whoop, but this has a C. So yeah, there's different types of curves. There's S curves and C curves. So this one has an S, but that one has a C. So that's interesting. Is that consistent? That's a C. I can't see the other one, so that's not cool. But this one has an S. And you can't see. And you don't even... Is it just on one side? No, because this one has it on both. I'm trying to cross-reference here, and it's like, not helping. It might just be on smaller. Is it just like here somehow? What's going on? I should go for like a C. It's kind of C shape on both sides. I think that'll be good. So it'll be start from a little up and then kind of curve into here. Might cut into the eye a little bit if not careful. That should be good. Okay. And then the other bang should be roughly the same height. I sometimes use like the screen itself as a measurer to see like, oh, okay, you know. Like the bottom edge of the screen, if I put it up, boop, I can see like, okay, it needs to be around there. Let's make the top go over just a little bit more. Just widen it in general, I think. So that will be hiding other things in here. So that's why it's good to like make sure this whole sketch like works with the whole composition, I guess. Is just to make sure this all works good. Rather than going, I'm gonna make this little section here, make that perfect, and then move on. Is like I'd rather just make sure that all these kind of work together. So okay. So the problem is that this is complicated. I think I want to put it in two parts with having like this part be 1 and then this might be 2. So at this point, I think I'm probably gonna make this and then have a second piece be that, or maybe even have like 3 pieces. So instead of that, have that and that. Would that be easier to animate? I have to think about animating this too. Boof. If any sense, I could probably just spit it up after I draw it, you know. So I'll have this bip. And then this little fun part. So let's make the skeleton version of it, where it just kind of pretty much have to draw it like in T-pose, in a sense. Just having it go down and then draw the other part. And then once I get this set up, then I can use deformers to then push it into this weird pose. You know what I mean? So it's almost like 3D modeling in a sense with all this too. It's like, yeah, I can play with stuff like that and just make sure that this is sort of straight and then fill it up. It's really easier to just kind of think of it like that. Have like some sort of form and then go, okay, I'll just add the details or whatever into it rather than the other way around. never start with like the final silhouette, I guess. Make it skeleton first. And then go, alright. Yep. And then add some weird line details. Looks like this even goes into a shape here. And then that's the ribbon. And then a couple of these. There you go. So that's the sketch, and then it'd just be obviously just fill it, and then so now it's time to review and make sure that everything's kind of looking good. And what I want to do, well, I guess I can actually show off how I was thinking of the deformers. I can use this deformer button tool and get, which one do I want? Do I want curve or envelope? I think I just like envelope because curve makes one end like locked. Like if you click on one point, it'll drag all of the rest of them, like as if you're just dragging a whole element. But envelope, if you click on any of them, then they're all independent. Oop, hit the mic. So it makes it slightly easier to like reposition things. So I can do this and add a couple different pieces here, and then it's just be up to making this straight as well. Getting this going. Gotta get it over the line. Okay. It's a little tricky because everything's kind of the same color, so let's just make it different color here just for now. Okay. So I'm thinking is that I can have the have this be more moldable. So in case I need to move the whole pigtail or ponytail into a specific pose or an angle. So instead of having it be a pre-made like weird angly thing, I can have it just be straight and then add in the curve later. I think that's probably gonna be, that seems to work pretty good. So this is images right now, and this looks pretty good. So I can do all these different kind of angles and move these around. This is kind of what the curve deformers is kind of made for, was these kind of long stringy things. And so you can like animate this over time and say, hey, how about you be over here for one frame and then over here in a different angle. So yeah. So I did the, if I did the other one, if I did the curve one, it would have made this like locked and act as if I was dragging the whole thing like that's going on. Can't grab it. Like this. Oop. Like trying to grab the whole peg here. Like this. That didn't work out. Oh well. Oh, because these ones are here. That's what's messing up the anchor point. Yeah, there you go. So like grabbing here would have moved the entire piece, but now with it being an envelope, I can actually move the first piece. Let me get some water real quick. Ugh. My throat was really going out. Okay. Just creates these curves here. Select them all. Go to reset. Beep. Okay. Let's go back up here. Okay. So I think that's good. Obviously, let's set the Z depth. In a sense, do I want to actually separate it, or do I want to just use real Z depth? Two options would be, obviously these all go into one composite, so it's like acting as if it's one layer with all these hair pieces. Or I somehow separate it and have things that need to go behind things but in front of others going into its own composite here. But of course, then it has to then go out into here because all these become one layer. And if we want it to be behind the neck, per se, then I would need to have it be a line that goes drip into the multi-output here, and then have a line that goes into the body, and that just doesn't work. So that's where we get more flexibility to just go, hey, ponytail, you're in front of everything. Don't want that, so I'm gonna nudge you in Z depth to just kind of put you behind a couple pieces like that. So there you go. And it's just kind of nudging it in 3D space, really. I think everything else is okay. They could be in front of this bluffing piece, can be in front of the ears. I think that'd be good. Until we do the master drawer stuff, it'll hopefully be okay with that too. Yeah. Okay. Next thing is to make sure that it's like, does this represent Sunny? Does this look like Sunny? Is there stuff I need to do to make it look better? As if I add the deformers into it, by adding these bips, then I can be more careful with this and add, you know, these kind of stuff. Which I'm still being true to the character as well. That'll be important. But otherwise, I think that's good. Okay, about right on about almost on time here. This will take a bit to like vector all these. Guess I could just keep going. Just show you like one more, I guess. Show like one or something, and then just kind of say like, oh, that's kind of how the pattern is. So hopefully you get it, and then I can spend more time during the weekend to actually clean this up. But yeah, it's the same process as all the other pieces I just did with the tail and stuff. And I'm just gonna be adding some very few points. The fewer the better, because then I can do stuff like this and go, okay, you know, done practically. So, alright. Most of the more time consuming stuff will be actually making it into a master controller and actually have it work with the different angles. Yep. And how that'll work out. How that'll work out is that I'll have to I'm just thinking about how tricky it's gonna be. Is that it's gonna be adding deformers onto practically every single piece here, and same thing that I did here. This is a deformer with the ponytail, and then adding like a point basically to how I did it here. Basically just like the same outline pieces, because I can do that too. And then based on the different angles that we have here, then I just like morphing this shape into a different drawing silhouette. It's so tricky to explain. But yeah, that'll be what we'll do. Oop, pig fell out. Let me just make sure everything else is here, I guess. That looks all good. Okay. Alright. It's kind of hard. I would probably want to like vector all these pieces first and then work on the master controller stuff, which on its own might take like a whole stream to like an hour or more to get it to look good. That's also the tricky part. So what I did to even get the head look good in the first place was a lot of trial and error and just going like trying to figure out like something's wrong and I can feel it, but it's like, what do I do to actually fix it? Is then its own problem, and it's like trying to problem solve it to go. That's what I was trying to explain. Is like the hair or the skull and the ear, the eyes, and basically everything. Didn't quite work out, so I had to like find a new plan of like, okay, I can't just flip it horizontally to work with the other side. I have to do it in a different method, which also was a little bit longer, because I had to actually recreate one of the angles, a 3/4 angle, by moving practically every single piece that you see over here. But it wasn't too tricky. I didn't have to like move every single piece, but just like the more hierarchy ones. Like I can just move like the whole eyeball with this one, and then this just moves the entire eye, and then I can just like move this over, skew it, and move it over like that. So that's kind of what I did. Rather than moving every single piece, was just like moving the more higher up priority pieces, I guess. Okay, so that's the bang. Okay, let's move it down a little bit maybe. Let's see. And, okay, yeah, the rest of the time will probably, the rest of my time will probably just be vectoring out the rest of the pieces, getting the Z depth, and doing the master controller stuff, so hopefully this is good. Looks weird and incomplete, because it is, but hopefully this is still showing that this can still probably look good. Yeah. So, at least this bit looks pretty good. So, yeah, it's just what I was saying is that I had to do a lot more work than I sort of expected to make this work, but I think the extra effort does make it look better. So, I'm actually kind of glad that I did it. So, there you go. Okay. So next time, by Tuesday, I'll hopefully get this all set up and proper and stuff, and then we can work on Izzy. She's kind of hidden here, but that's actually the image that I got, so that's actually how it was cropped. So yeah, so yeah, we'll probably just start with a blank horse, and then add on the same kind of stuff that we did today of like adding the cutie mark, tail, color it, and then add some hair stuff. So look out for that on Tuesday. So we'll be doing that. Alrighty. Let me get some water. Alright. Yeah, I can see like it's a lot more involved than I guess some other disciplines, you know. Of animation disciplines of like, yeah, sure, you could just draw this and then be done with it, you know, an animation or like a short or something. You just draw every single frame, and you know, if the time it takes to draw one frame is faster than making a whole puppet, then sure, you know, that's good. But it's also kind of, you know, a detriment if you want to do a whole series or a whole movie worth, or well, if you wanted to do like 10 movies worth of the same character, you know, if you do it frame by frame, then you would have to draw that character, you know, every single frame, or you can use a puppet that might take a couple weeks to maybe like half a month to get a perfect, you know, 2D model, and then you can reuse that and use the assets and the different fancied head movement and stuff, and then you'll have this perfect pose that's ready to go, and then you can spend the time acting in a sense, with pushing the poses further by using these generic poses first and then add on to it, rather than having to make everything from scratch every single frame. So it's the give and take of like, yeah, I can see how people might think like, oh, this is dumb, why don't you just draw it? Compared to like, well, if you want to make something more substantial with it, or do longer stuff with it, or like make something more, you know, cookie cutter fast later on stuff, then
you'd be better off making a puppet. So it's yin and yang of like, well, yeah, and you know, in some cases it's like super beneficial to like use a puppet over drawing, for like use a puppet for tighter deadlines, to just animate something with different pieces and then just moving those pieces around rather than having to draw an entire character, from scratch every single frame. I notice people who like use layers in 2D or like Hanna-Barbera. Hanna-Barbera was like really efficient because they almost did it in the same way by separating the layers, separating the characters into different pieces, and in a sense that the mouth will be its own cell. So you might have like a head, layer cell, body, and a mouth, maybe an eye, you know, separated into like different pieces. And in the same sort of sense, and I'm making this up as I go along, but it's like it's actually sort of makes sense that, you know, to have something be really fast is that, yeah, instead of having to draw the body measuring like Fred Flintstone, you would have to draw his body every single frame in that scene, or you can literally just use a still image of that body over, you know, a couple seconds worth, where it's just being exposed for longer, and then the different pieces, the other layers, the different mouths, you would have different, swap out different mouth shapes and eyes and whatnot. So, you know, it's like it's not an unheard of thing with 2D stuff. So yeah. Let's see. Bye, Elijah, and hi, cool guy. Welcome. We got a net count of no change in viewers. Alrighty. Welcome. But yeah, you like drawing every single frame too much. I know there's be people who like are completely against it, but if it makes, you know, I don't know, makes it easier, especially in a digital age. It's like, yeah, you have all these fancy tools, and it's like, well, you have an erase button and all these loops and cuts, and especially all the node tool stuff. It's like, if node tool, if the node view wasn't important, or is cheating, or is bad for making cartoons, then why would Toon Boom invest so much into it and really make it really nice and so user friendly? You have to like be an archaeologist to like even understand what it means, but it's like once you get it, it's like, oh, this is way nicer. So I'm so on board with doing cutout and all this kind of puppet stuff. That's like my first experience of animation was all this stuff. So I've done flipbooks and stop motion, but like digital animation was puppets. So yeah. Yep, all that on the left is fan art. I think I included some recent Derpy or cookies pictures, Derpy's cookie pictures. And from a couple days ago, one of you guys, I think Purple or one of you, set a new picture where it's like a picture of like me with sunglasses and a bunch of water bottles or something. So that was new. It's random, so it's gonna take either a second or 5 minutes before it shows up again. It's just based on how random works. There's Dr. Hooves again. Yeah. Yeah. Stop motion 2D stuff, and just be able to just work with the different pieces and just kind of rearrange them and use that as a template to then be more creative with it, I think is what I'm going for. Is that, yeah, it's way better to for me just to like start with something and then mold it. So I feel like just starting with nothing and then trying to just draw from scratch, I've never been good at that. So if I could like have something in front of me, like a base character in a base T-pose, and then I need to animate a shot, then it's like, okay, I could just use this T-pose and then work with that. So it might be in a way just me. I feel like I might just be better at like making 3D stuff just like how I'm using models and using templates and different rigging and complicated skeletons to move things around. So I've always just been too intimidated by 3D to do that though. Never really worked with any fancy 3D rigs, so yeah, I never had an experience actually just working with them. I feel like there was always like this weird disconnect of like if you're animating in 3D, then some timing or like how you keyframe or like how motions work in 3D, it's completely different. I've always had this weird preconception that it's like, oh, I don't want to do 3D because the way to animate in 3D is so different than 2D somehow, of like just how motions and the exact timings and stuff. It's like felt like you had to like animate on different there's some animation term X sheets, or like how the dope sheets work and how the timeline works or something. Maybe it's just like how the different frame rate is can be different to like be 30, and that's just like completely mess you up. I've had someone wanting to like make, was it a commission? Oh, it's been so long ago. Was like, hey, can you do, you know, I want my, yeah, their request was like, I want my animation to look smooth. Can you animate it in 60 FPS? And it's like, what? At the time, it's like, what? Like, all I've done is 24. It's like, that's, the film standard is, you know, is 24. Video, live action and editors are like 29.9, which is, it rounds up to 30. So it's like, oh, that's like twice as much as video. And try to explain it. It's like, I'm way more comfortable with 24 and it'll be smooth, you know. I could do it on ones on 24 and it would just feel just, you know, it's a cartoon, so it's like you're not really gonna feel it being, you know, you're not gonna be missing anything by not having it be at full 60 or whatever. If they're like super used to video games and going to a cartoon, it's like feeling that it's like, oh, it's slow or something. It's like, I can see that, but it's like just like this weird request of like, it doesn't have to be to make it smooth. It doesn't have to be a higher frame rate. So that's what I was feeling like with 3D. Was like, it feels like it's an alien of like how it's, you know, how 3D animators are supposed to animate or something. So maybe sometime I'll figure it out. Yeah, of using a more, I'm sure there's a lot more accessible, like using Blender and using a, you know, higher quality rigs, models and stuff that have controls. And I can play around with that. But yeah, I personally haven't done that yet. So that'd be fun though. Nice weird challenge. Yeah. Let's see. Let me get some juice and I'll read it. What you got? Just change my corner to see the reaction. See what the reaction is? Yeah. What was it? Yeah, I think someone was like, hey, can you, yeah, there was like, trying to remember, they were like, a different person was like, oh, let's see, purple toast, purple toast, thank you. There was a guy who was also, I had a whole bunch of different commission people over the years of all these weird stories. There was a guy who wanted it to be, yeah, his thing was like, can you change the cartoon you just made to be specifically made for 24? Can you change that to be 30? And I was like, what? Why? And they were like, I want you to change it to 30 because my intro and outro are 30 FPS. So please change your cartoon into 30 so they'll match. And it's like, oh, just knowing about all this, it's like, oh, really? I'm at 480. Yeah, I think Flash can go up way far. Yeah, Flash can go really high up. Let me just check Toon Boom real quick. Scene settings, preset. Here's a custom. Let's see how far it can go. Ah. Can I get it up to be... It says custom, and there's a little slider, and I did the slider up. Oh, looks like 120 actually works. Huh. Oh yeah, there's a little button up here. Let's try 480. See what that does. Let's watch the timeline go. Zoop. Yep. It just zoops over. Wow. Remember, Flash can go up really high up. That's like... No video file in Flash can't even render higher than 24. That's why. They really set it up to just be work good in 24, because that's what all the animators will be using anyway. Yeah, let's see. It was, yeah, they wanted my cartoon to be set up to 30 because their intro and outro was 30, and it's like, you can literally just render out the export of the video to be 24, and even if your video is 30, you might get some skip frames, but it's not like it's gonna like completely ruin, you know, and like damage your entire video because of it. Or even this would be really safe would just be to export the intro outro to 24 and then re-import it back into the editing software, so then you now have a 24 version of it, and then you can have the cartoon in the middle be 24 and then export that out. And so yeah, it's kind of weird. It was just a weird request. I was like, oh, so I set up, you know, very, very nicely, like a whole bunch of on one's lip sync for the entire thing, or the mouth movements to get the mouth in sync. I spent a lot of time doing that, and it felt good, you know, once it felt like good in 24 and everything. I was like, oh, just knowing that, oh, this might skip some frames, or, you know, every whatever, you know, let's say like every third frame it might get blended or, you know, crushed or destroyed or something to make room for it to be faster or something. So it's like, that frame I might work on for all that lip sync stuff might be destroyed every other second. So, so try to explain this. Just go ahead and do the export to 24 with all the video stuff, and just be okay with that, please. Because otherwise, yeah, it's such a weird, like, don't worry about that. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. I've been really chugging along on my movie. Let me get some more juice. Speaking of Flash, like, just going back and forth between Blender and Flash is, like, makes me so rich. Wish I just, like, eventually just set up, like, all the Toon Boom puppets to just work. Bring all the Flash puppets that I have for the movie, bring all the Flash stuff into Toon Boom, and then just animate from there. Because I feel like there's so much stuff that's, like, I just have to sit back and go, like, why am I even trying to do this in Flash? But at some points it's like, oh, I have to animate it like this. Just do it like regular character stuff. It's just like, the way that I set it up is the heads will be a separate symbol or a separate container box element, clicky box thing from the body. So it's like whenever I need to like move or animate facial expressions, I can't like click on the hoof and change his pose. So it's like, it really does slow me down of just like, okay, let me just spend some extra clicking time, you know, that like 1 millisecond to like change it. But over time, I probably spent like, you know, like a week in total of making a whole movie and just like clicking in and out of going in and out of so many symbols. So Toon Boom's really, really nice, and I can click on an eyeball, an iris, and then click on a hoof, and done. That's it. You know, don't have to worry about all these like nested symbols, like in, I don't know if people use After Effects, where it's you can like nest, or combine a whole bunch of elements into one group, and then you can move that group as one piece, and then do whatever you want with that. So it's like you still have to, even with After Effects, you still have to like click on the nest and open that up, you know, and it gets really tricky. So, there are ways. I'm wondering if we sarcastically look at that star. There are ways. I think there's even a little button on my timeline thing here that I even have. Button. Maybe I got rid of it. Is this it? Last simulation. Let's see. Keyframe. Anyway, there's a nice script editor. I'm opening Toon Boom stuff now. Let's see. There is a flash. Check. Excuse me. I thought there was a script to do it, but I think you can even just like directly import swaths. Import swath. Yeah. There's a import SWF or Illustrator files to a library. That's just like one of the basic like file import dialogues. So the only problem is that you have to like re-rig the entire puppet. But at this point I've had so much experience of like rigging now that's like, okay, you know. I think the only like real caveat that's like why I'm not is half of it is like, oh, it's fun to like still like say like, oh, I made this in Flash, you know, this is my legacy, you know. To keep it with Flash and say like, yeah, look, I'm still using this slightly rendered software, but yeah, it's just to like show it as like I can do a whole project with what I've started with. The other half is that it's actually really easier to export PNGs. There might be an easier way with Toon Boom, but at least for right now, the way that I export PNGs is that I can right-click on a symbol that has, let's say I have Derpy animating for 50 frames on a timeline. I can right-click on her, on the whole symbol on the outside of her, and then say export to PNG sequence, and it gives me a little dialogue and say like how big do you want it, and it'll clip the PNGs to the size dimensions of the actual character. So it takes it into like a different dimension space and only exports the exact character and its dimensions, and it like clips it perfectly. So if it's like a weird like aspect ratio or like someone are tall and the snakes are long, so it'll like clip it to be the right dimensions aspect ratio. With Toon Boom, there's a little write node, like if you write a book, is how it's spelled. So you can do that same thing and export to PNG4, which includes alpha, so that's no problem. But it takes the entire canvas size, so every single PNG size would be whatever the canvas size is. Let's say it's HD, so every single picture would be 1920 by 1080, regardless if the character only takes up like a fifth of that size, which usually it would be. So in that sense, I feel like it would just take up a lot more room. A lot more dead space and dead pixels and all that to do that. And there's probably workarounds. I could probably like, you know, change the canvas size before exporting, but who wants to do that? Storyboarding is a little easier. Flash doesn't like create separate drawings, symbols and crazy drawing substitutes and stuff, so Flash is nicer for some things, but I think for just straight animating, Toon Boom's way better. So it's like this weird like, yeah, I could switch over and just like remake the puppets and directly drag my exact Flash drawing stuff directly into Toon Boom and then re-rig it and then start animating there and have fun. and have fun actually animating, or just go out with Flash and then put up with it for as long as I need to work on this movie, which there's a lot more to do with that. So I still feel like I'm like only like halfway, and I feel like I'm actually somewhere close to that. So halfway done with the movie. So yeah. Whoop. Let me just sit up a little bit. See you, Star. Thank you so much. Thank you, Star. So yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to look into it to see if there's like a way to do, if there was a way to just like export the exact size. Because if I go back out, let me just check real quick. If I go to the right node, because I don't think there's a embedding. What does that mean? Always embed what native resolution name is, filter name. Or enabling. Oh, jeez. Okay. Always enabled. Oh, I can turn off enabled. Enabled when resolution name is filter name. What the? There's a drop down box for all these sizes of like 1080p, 4K UHD, 8K UHD. Whoa. Okay, so some of these things you can't see obviously, but it's like there's different. What if I do this? Beep. So there's this extra thing for like right node enables, so I can change it to be at different resolutions. So I was wondering if there was one for enabled when resolution is at this specific resolution. I'm not quite sure actually what this means. But here's the main one. Yeah. So to go into this is exporting basically. It's like a special exporting dialog box. So I can have a different name for it, different colors. Let's change TGA to PNG4. So that'll allow for alpha. Change it into a movie instead. Scripted movie. Ooh, I can even do a 264. Windows Media and scripted movie. Interesting. And more stuff for that too. Let's change it out of movie. So what I'd like to do is, when working with Midnight Mare stuff, is use this, export everything out into a PNG sequence, and then bring the PNG sequence into After Effects, and then have each element or layer separated, so I can have one character exported to just be one character per export, and then reassemble the entire shot with all the characters and backgrounds as different pieces, and then I can add per After Effects layer now different effects and then work from there and add shading and all that. So this works out really well in the sense that it will keep the screen space the correct aspect ratio of the HD whatever exact same canvas size of 1920 by 1080, so it keeps that in mind. So that's the nice part. Is that everything was then, I don't have to like read if they were like small like sprites, you know, where to have a bounding box. I wouldn't have to realign them in After Effects. So there's that. So that's nice. But yeah, otherwise it's like, oh, this won't work for my movie. Just because I'm scared of having too many frames. But at this point I have like 1,000, that's just 1 minute, probably like 5,000 frames of like each character. In the same sense with my Flash movie, I do it the same way of I export each character as a separate PNG and then put them onto a card or a 2D plane inside a 3D blender and move them around in 3D space. So yeah, I think I'm just too far long gone, and it's like getting really used to it, of how animation side of like how everything is set up. So just these little tiny gripes of like, I wish this was a little bit easier here and there. So there's little sprinkles of here and there, and it's like, wouldn't it be nice? I get too spoiled by like how Toon Boom works. It's like, oh, great, yeah. Let me go back to Flash, and it's like, oh, man. It'll be fine, but it's like, wouldn't it be nice? So anyway, I think we're out on time on here. So yeah, I will do a whole bunch of stuff for the weekend, I guess. I will be working on finishing this Sunny puppet. And then we can just jump into making the Izzy, watercolor Izzy Fizzle Pop, but I don't remember what her name was. Work on her puppet. That might be fun to like figure out how to get her hair designed. What that'll look like, and trying to separate it into different pieces. I see there's a gradient. Goes from like blue to like a purple, so that'd be fun. We can play with gradients. All right. So we'll start on that on Tuesday, and then I'll also be working on my movie, so I can get more stuff to show off my patrons. To show off some previews for that. I think that'll be fun to show off. It's what I'm working on recently. It's been last couple days has been really fun, making some new 3D models and sets, and trying to add some more. Removing like the lighting full bright system that I have, and removing that, I can have everything be dark and then add some more ambient light. So playing with that, and that's been fun. Probably show a preview of that in a week or so. So look forward to that if you're a patron. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think my mouth is dry and there's not much juice left, so here we go. Yeah. Sorry, Sasha. Didn't say it for that. Alrighty. Whoever's left. Hope you guys have a good day. Big hug. Thank you guys. This has been fun. And we'll be back on Tuesday. And we'll continue, not exactly on, well, you can't see it, not exactly on Sunny, but like on Izzy. So look out for that. Alright, thank you guys. Hope you guys had fun. Alright guys, thank you. Okay. Bye guys.